Hey y'all, this is Jeremiah of Team Mashup, bringing another event report from the BotSupremacy. Thank you very much to Andrew and the New Baltimore Trade Center for setting this up and hosting for us. First up is going to be Team Mashup's Ferry, four-wheel drive vertical spinner, fighting tap to attack. So right here, the battery gets ejected from the frame. At this point, I should have backed off because really it probably should have gone to either a judge's decision or something like that. Instead, I ripped the battery off, which if that had caused a fire could have been a big deal. So that was on me. I shouldn't have done that. Still, I take the win on it.
Ready.
Next up is versus Close Shave. Close Shave is a drum spinner. Took first place at Michigan Mashup #2 in the ferry weight division. I think at this point it's on like 15, 16, maybe even 17 win streak with no losses. So it was definitely one that I was nervous about fighting.
Get back here.
I can still drive pretty well inverted. I would very much prefer to get flipped back over though. Seems like something happened to his weapon about halfway through here. Oh.
Oh, I fixed
Yeah, right there. It kicks back on. A lot of back and forth in this fight. But in general, I'm kind of flying around, flying through the air. He's staying mostly solidly on the floor. Well, mostly. I say that and then he does a bunch of flips.
Oh, that hurt. That hurt a lot.
He's trying to get himself flipped back over. I mean, he's a drum bot, but still he hits a lot better if he's in his upright orientation. And I don't believe he's got it set up where he can run the drum in both directions. So he needs to get flipped over to properly hit. Alright, so that's the end of that fight. Very close fight, but judge's decision goes to Close Shave. I think they generally did have better control in that one, so. Okay, this is going to be against Hairbrain. This one's had this is its second variation. It used to be a undercutter. It has a very large front spinner, but it's a PLA frame, so it doesn't hold up all that well.
You don't need wheels.
Tap out. Smart move. Prevent getting any more damage, since really all that had happened is his wheels fell off.
Ready.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Next up here is against, I forget this one's name. I know it's by Team Freak Bots. Its driver's Martin of Team Freak Bot. It had been having a pretty good day. Been cutting its way through people.
Die already.
I think they call this the Volt Kit. It's kind of hard to control. It's got a very large spinner on front, and once it gets bouncing around, it's very hard to get it back under control. I just try to stay on top of him so much, though, that he can't really spin that up. At this point, I think he lost the rubber off of one of his tires, and it's just kind of pinched. in the wheel guard. All that armor around the sides preventing me from getting to anything actually important.
Bastinado looks like it's pivoting on one wheel.
Bastinado, that was its name, yeah.
Why won't you die?
So obviously the control category's heavily in my favor here since I can actually still drive. Damage is going to go my way as well just because he does have that issue with one tire. But really, I didn't do much more damage than that to him. Okay, I get my rematch against Close Shave. Close Shave had just come off of a fight with Demise, a very savage robot. It's known to sweep competitions generally. And it had gotten pretty messed up, so he had just put it back together.
Still having drive issues from last fight.
Yeah. My last fight against Bastinado, I did take a little bit of damage to one of my wheels, and so I'm kind of driving a little crooked. But on Close Shave, his fight against Demise had damaged the drum mount, and after repairing it, it still wasn't working quite right. You can see he's having trouble getting it to fire up. I don't know if he ever actually gets it to fire up during this fight. You can see it spin a little bit every once in a while, but that's about it.
Come back.
Mongoose doesn't seem to be running his weapon anymore.
Because it's broken.
Yeah, mine broke too.
Mongoose is now a pusher.
Yeah, so it becomes a pushing
I'm
match.
supposed to admit that.
Fortunately, though, Homunculus is actually a better pusher because it has 4 wheels, four-wheel drive as opposed to just 2, and they're fairly grippy.
Old Bob's just pushing it out.
Every once in a while it works a little bit. There we go. There we go.
I got it back up and running again. Essentially what was going on here, which I didn't know at the time,
Mongoose,
was the
get that hit.
spinner had been hit on the side by Bastinado and was brushing against the can of the motor just a little bit. So if it would get up and working, it would stay working until it took a really heavy hit that stopped it.
3, 2, 1, time.
It was a good fight. Fortunately, I was able to take it that time. It would have gone very different if his drum had been working.
Fight.
Hey, get back.
Okay, and then this is Demise. This one is the one that wrecked Close Shave before his fight with me,
Turn back on, weapon.
breaking his streak.
Mongoose just wants to be a pusher today.
And I had gotten the motor working again after my last fight, but it didn't stay working. It went down again right away. One big hit and it was no longer working. I was just hoping to ram the spinner into his blade and break his blade, making it a,
Mongoose looked like it was trying to go for a
well,
pin.
not really an even fight. In that case, I would have had quite a bit of an advantage with the 4-wheel drive. But on a well-engineered bot like Demise, you're probably not going to break it simply by ramming into it.
Oh no, not my wheels. Stay away from those.
1 minute. This might go to the judge.
Fortunately, I'm able to keep the front always pointed at his spinner. I'm quite a bit more
Eyes,
agile, I'll say.
waiting for that big wheel to spin up.
Die.
At this point, I get flipped over, and without my spinner,
Oh, that's a bad
I
hit
can't
for
get
me.
flipped back
Oh,
over.
No.
Yeah, I took a hit on one of my rear wheels.
Come on, turn on, weapon.
30 seconds.
Oh no.
Oh,
Keep topping me. Flip me over. Hey, I'm alive.
I didn't really have a thought that I could win at this point. I just wanted to keep fighting because, well, you know, it's the championship of the featherweight bracket.
Come to me.
As long as you can keep moving, you keep moving.
Really lining up some good hits. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so that one was obviously Demise. Having Demise take first, Homunculus second, and Chop Shop third.
Judge ready?
Not Chop Shop. Close shave.
Over there.
Alright, we're going 5.
Okay, so now we're on to the Antweight bracket. My very first fight is Nosferatu versus Weird Flex. Weird Flex is actually the Antweight champion of Michigan Mashup #2. It's a very pushy bot.
Eat his own dick.
It's not at its best on a wooden floor because it can't run its magnets, but it's still very.
Weird Flex is made out of this material called TPU. It's a rubbery.
This one I put a lot of thought into
Takes hits really well, it looks like.
to fight this bot. I was-
I ain't staying in that den. No, sir.
It probably wouldn't have worked. A bot like this that is so dominant when it comes to just control.
No.
And the long forks on front, strong pushing
Flex
power.
going for some
I don't think it would have worked out well. So instead, I just put the large spinner on front and figured I'd witch doctor it.
You weird flexible thing.
Fortunately, fortunately, with that heavy weapon, I can kind of throw myself around when they do get. I can just kind of rev. So,
weird Flex.
yeah,
30 seconds.
I do damage their wheel there. Either that or they may have damaged it themselves. Hard to say.
Hey, stop. Give me the side.
If there had been a little bit more time left in the fight, this could have gone very differently because at that point they weren't able to nearly as effectively keep me on the walls. Yeah, that fight does go to Weird Flex. They were dominant for most of the match,
Shop debut.
just having trouble after losing the side wheel.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so this is first matchup for Chop Shop. This is a new bot that I've not ran it before, so there's some bugs to be worked out. Running against Threshold of Pain right there. I bring the hammer down and I cut through his belt. At this point, he's not really a threat to me anymore. I think he's kind of trying to decide what he wants to do, but I'm chewing into him with that spinner and he taps out.
Alright, we got a tap out.
Nice.
Ready?
Ready.
So
Four, 3,
Nosferatu's second match. This is using the smaller spinner with the forks on front, fighting against Drumbot. It's called Mostly Harmless. It looks very different than it did at the second Michigan Mashup, or wait a minute, third Michigan Mashup. Yep. I feel like probably its wheels are a little too far back. I did speak with Mostly Harmless's driver, and it was meant to have 2 wheels on front, so be a 4-wheel drive drum spinner, but weight problems. Not enough weight. He loses his belt right here, causing him to be in a position of
mostly harmless.
being mostly harmless.
Lost his weapon.
Tap out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Chop Shop's second fight against
I'm having
Well, it's a
little
wedge
bit of
bot.
funky drive issues right now.
Permafrost. Permafrost was its name. I was having a little bit of drive issues, and he was driving very well. So
Oh,
that
no.
combination caused me to have a lot of trouble, at least to start with.
He's fast. He's really quick.
Permafrost's driver is fairly new to combat robotics, but with a pretty good showing there. I'll be interested to see where he goes in future events. At this point, I've got him kind of flipped up, and I'm just hacking away at
I'm
him.
holding him.
1 minute.
He's on his face, and he's not really able to get turned back over, so...
I mean, you want me to chop on you a little bit?
Yeah, so at that point he taps out. This is the lighter disc version of Nosferatu versus Petty Thief. Petty Thief is basically a brick. It has an aluminum shell frame that is like, it's got two sides to it, that all the parts go inside,
I'm gonna have to.
and
I
the two
stabbed in
sides
there too
connect
hard.
together, making a very brick-like frame.
Yeah, I know.
All
right?
that does come at an extreme cost of weight, though, leaving him with only a little bit
Yeah,
for his
pretty much.
little spinner and fork. Generally, what he tries to do, though, is he's trying to win fights by breaking other people's weapon.
I gotta slow down a little bit. Not do my normal crazy driving.
Yeah, since I had my forks get stuck in the wall there, and MRCA rules allow for one unstick if you become stuck on the wall or floor of the arena. I am trying to be very careful not to let that happen again, because if it does, I'll be counted out. I was mostly able to bully Petty Thief here because I've got a stronger drive and a more powerful weapon plus longer forks. That's not really how Petty Thief wins fights, though. Generally wins fights by breaking the other person's weapon on its face. I'm just beating him around. I think he was stuck there, but he's probably stuck on his fork right there, but that's a really boring way to end the fight, so let's just keep going. Yes, right there.
My motor broke.
Yes, my motor broke. That is not common. It's not really broken because I get it working again later, but the entire can had pushed over and was pressing against the base. Oh my goodness. So anyway, this is Mudskipper. Mudskipper is a 1.5 pound shuffler. He gets to be a little bit heavier because of the shuffler mechanisms. He's been tearing apart other robots in the Midwest area. Another build by Team YO. I knew this was not going to be a good fight for Chop Shop. Yes. Rips off the wheels on the side, folds the wedge underneath. A motor for the spinner's destroyed. Yes, you can see the edge of the wedge there. That's 1.2 millimeter titanium, so pretty strong stuff. Just folded it right under. This is obviously Nosferatu, but fighting against Krieg Jarvison. Krieg Jarvison took 3rd place at the very first Michigan Mashup. It's kind of a similar design. It's actually kind of interesting because both of these robots take some inspiration from another 4-wheel drive vertical spinner, Bit Error. We do it a little bit differently though. He uses more of a standard ant weight motor, a little bit smaller disc, 4 N20 motors for drive, whereas
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Nosferatu
7,
has
8,
that giant
9,
3530
10.
motor in front. As you can see here, the motor that I had gotten working again for a little bit,
1, 2,
it
3, 4,
got stuck again.
5,
His is still working, but
1,
his fork there in the middle, in the front, right on that first hit, it got
1,
bent
2,
in front of him,
3, 4,
and I was able to
5,
use that fork to
6.
kind of keep him from ever getting his spinner against me. I'm not able to attack him, but I am able to out-push him and shove him around.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think he's also missing a tire on one side, which isn't helping either.
One, 2, 3.
I took out my motor.
Okay, so it's just a bad day for Chop Shop because its second fight is against probably the second most devastating horizontal spinner or undercutter there. Now, definitely the second most devastating undercutter there. The honor of first most devastating going to Mudskipper. And I get them right in a row. I'm holding up a little bit better because it doesn't hit quite as hard. But it's still a devastating machine. The tire on the right side there is getting pinched by the wedge, so I'm having trouble driving. I turn on my spinner and it immediately gets broken right there.
There goes the motor.
Chop Shop really wants to be able to kind of bully the other robot, push them into the wall, and then bring the spinner down on top, which I wasn't really ever able to do.
Come here.
And I become a hat.
Ah, that counts as a pin.
So he has no damage at this point, still spinning his weapon up and smashing me. I've lost drive mostly on one side. The wedge is smashed. My weapon motor is broken. Yeah. Still, I'm able to keep him only hitting that front wedge.
Good thing it ran out. I was about to come out on you.
Yeah. So that ends up kicking Chop Shop out of the competition, leaving me with only Nosferatu, who's still working his way through the losers bracket. So this is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's Caleb's robot from Team Kill More Robots. It is a 2-pound monster. It uses basically like toothbrushes to drive on, and it uses the vibration of its weapons to vibrate around the arena. So I'm kind of able to sneak in between the two weapons right there. put a really good hit right there. At this point, I think, yeah, okay, my drive is pretty badly hurt. I think the rubber off of one of the wheels has come off at that point, so I'm still driving a little bit on 3 wheels. Okay. Yep, lost like drive on both fronts. That was an awesome hit right there. One of the difficulties for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is that while he can hit really hard, it's hard for him to win in categories such as control and aggression, because it's really hard to control something that mostly moves around by vibrating. At this point, I have no drive left. I've been hurt pretty bad, so I'm just kind of vibrating as well. Which I think would have caused me to be counted out if the match had gone longer. I ended up taking the win there. I think it honestly could have gone either way, because he had caused more damage to me. But for most of the match, I was able to show more aggression, stuff like that. Yeah, really close match. I think it could have honestly, yeah, gone either way. Okay, so this is Atoma. Atoma's another bot that's kind of interesting because it took inspiration from a robot that I also took inspiration for Nosferatu. Nosferatu from, which was Pizza Slicer. Pizza Slicer uses that very heavy 3530 motor in the front. And I kind of combined Pizza Slicer with Bit Error and a little bit of my own magic. Created Nosferatu. But Atoma uses a similar frame to Pizza Slicer, but a different weapon system. It uses a belt drive weapon system. I'm relatively fortunate in that his weapon broke down fairly early. I believe later in the match it does come back up and working again, but for most of the match he was just having to be a pusher.
One.
I've got drive issues on one side here, so I'm kind of hopping.
One, two, three.
Right there, I'm able to bend his fork upward. Makes it harder for him to get underneath after that. So another good fight. Yeah, you see his weapons running there at the end, but not soon enough that he was actually able to use it in the match, or I think it would have been quite different.
Sorry,
I think it was a pretty close fight. Him winning more control points, and losing out in the damage category primarily because his weapon was down for so long. So, this fight, I had gotten my drive issues fixed up. My weapon switched over to a new one that hopefully wouldn't break on me. And I'm against, I think it's, I don't know if he's still Team Superbad or if he switched over fully to using the Shreddit robotic name, but anyway, it's Santana with his new robot Nautiloid kit. Pretty devastating, been doing a lot of damage throughout the day. Wrecking a lot of robots. I believe he went all the way through the winner's bracket. And only dropped down into the loser's bracket. By this point, I forget. I was having issues because I had forgotten to charge the battery, so I was running low on power right here. I couldn't run both the drive and the weapon. So I'm just babying it, trying not to get counted out. He had taken that heavy hit on one of his wheels, so he wasn't able to drive very well either. Fortunately, the match ended because we were both looking a little bit punch drunk after that.
5, 4, 3, 2.
So this is Super Space Turtle, another YO Robotics robot. At this point, it had only lost to,
Juicy! So juicy!
I believe, had only lost to Mudskipper, because Mudskipper's in the winners bracket, still taking everyone out.
Oh, you on stick?
From what I understand, they had accidentally put a 4S battery into Space Turtle, which is meant to run a 3S, meaning it was going a lot faster than what the driver was used to. That's why it keeps on running into the wall and getting it stuck. He probably would have had a little easier time, and the fight might have gone differently if that hadn't been the case. So he's used his unstick at this point, so if he gets stuck again, he would be counted out. But, I mean, that's super boring, so I'm going to help him out. Space Turtle can really take those hits because it's a dense TPU filament frame. Very flexible. It's the same thing that both Weird Flex and Mudskipper are made out of. You really need like more of a cutting weapon to deal with those, where Nosferatu runs a big club. That one goes to me. And then, so that was my last fight in the losers bracket. So I'm up against Mudskipper. Well, I feel a little bit better fighting Mudskipper with Nosferatu. I've had a fight with them, a grudge match at Michigan Mashup number 3, where within about 20 seconds he cut the whole spinner off of Nosferatu, so I think what was advantaging me in this particular fight is it's a small box. I'm able to box rush him well. Okay, so he taps out here. The main reason he does that is because it's not running quite right. I later talked to him, and there was a setting on his controller that was set up wrong, causing him not to be able to spin up more than like 15% weapon power. Anyway, I'm still trying to smother him. And since he had not lost a fight yet, tapping there was the smartest move for him. Prevent his robot getting too smashed up. And figure out whatever that little issue was he had. Early on in this one, I'm able to hit that purple walker foot shuffler pod, and after that, it's really difficult for him. His weapon isn't set up to... It's touching the ground right now, basically, is what it is, so it's really hard for him to get it spun up again. I'm doing my best to avoid being in front of the weapon. In this fight, to be honest, I expected not to win it. I was expecting to get shredded like I did in the past in the grudge match. So I'm at this point I'm surprised and quite happy that I'm able to keep him from being able to spin up too much, I guess. The one moment that you saw him spin up there and he hit the front of my robot, he ripped off one of the forks and bent the other one sideways. That's the one big hit he gets in the match, and he does that much damage. So yeah, that ends up going to me. I end up being able to take first place at the event, with Mudskipper taking second and Super Space Turtle taking third.